There are so many people that I would like to thank. I just don't have enough time to. This has been years in the making to get to this day, so I do need to name a few. I'm going to start with my brother Todd, my partner in this venture. I want to acknowledge our architect, Jeff Rollins, our general contractor, Leo Post, our banker, lender, Ronnie Harris of People's Bank. Now, I don't see Ronnie, but that could mean that they got arrested because they hired a bus to come from Hurstburn, and so it reminded me kind of the story about the Giacomo crowd that came down for the Derby, but I guess they'll be rolling in here sometime. But I also want to thank a couple people that have been very creative with this project. I want to thank Chasen Higdon, Rusty Schnurr, and Kay Wissing for all the artistic touches you'll see throughout the property. Really makes it local and fun, and I thank you. Most of all, I want to thank you, all of you, the neighbors who've been so terrific in welcoming us. I think you've been patient. This has been a long time in the coming, and we can't thank you enough. In particular, I want to acknowledge one neighbor. This person invited my brother and I out to this property about 9 years ago, and I tried to decline the invitation, and he wouldn't take no for an answer. When we pulled up at this property, it was raining, it was dark, the building was boarded up, it looked like it was ready to fall down. And yet this person kept trying to sell, sell, sell. He opened the door, I didn't go but a few feet inside this building, and my foot went through the rotted floor. I almost fell down in the dungeon. At that point, Vince Jarbo quit trying to sell us on the property, and he started selling us on the neighborhood and the people here that are so wonderful and loyal and supportive. Evidently, Vince was quite convincing. Here we are today. So thank you, Vince. Where are you, Vince? Thanks for a wonderful sales job. Obviously, we want to give big thanks to our Metro Council and to the Mayor's administration for all the support over an extended period of time. What a unifying project to sit here at the doorstep of beautiful Iroquois Park. We're so happy that this day has arrived, and we're happy about another 100 years of celebrating life here with everybody moving forward. So with that note, Mayor, will you take the microphone?
Thank you, Jeff, and good afternoon, everybody. Have we waited long enough for this? My gosh. This is a project that we've been working on for at least a decade, so good things come to those who wait. And I want to just thank, I'll name all of y'all individually, but this has been a partnership with our council, with our community, with our developers, quite unlike any that have had, at least in the time that I've been mayor here so far. So, and that's been too long in some people's estimations. So it's been a great project. But yesterday, as I announced with our budget address here for the city is really regaining a lot of our economic momentum. It's been a really tough year with the pandemic, with the marches, with the recession. It's been hard, but it's been great to see us really coming out of this right now with vaccinations. If you haven't gotten vaccinated, please do so. You can get a shot real easy at Cardinal Stadium. And the economy is really coming back right now here as well. So it's really symbolic to be here today at Colonial Gardens. Because what Jeff talked about, I know a lot of y'all are from the South End. I drive through here a lot as well. And just seeing this every time and thinking, man, that's just not right. I mean, this used to be the spot. I just met Rose down here. Rose was dancing here in the early 1940s, all right? And she told me that she is ready to dance again. That's right. And she's got it going on, I can say that. But there's a lot of history here. Obviously, our first zoo, Elvis is still here in the courtyard. So it's just been a lot of really fun stuff that's come together here. I want to thank the Underhills, Jeff and Todd. They had to buy a vision here. And when they see properties like this, I mean, you heard what he said, but they're an organization that's turned a lot of, shall we say, underperforming properties into beautiful new assets for the community. So we appreciate the good work that you all have done. And then there were all the conversations we had with the council. We put, I think it was $4 million in this project, which is really kind of unheard of for a project this size, but that's what it needed to really bring this back to a quality that you all deserve, frankly. And so thank you for letting us spend your dollars on this project, okay? It looks just great. Now here's our kickoff here with BA Colonial. And if you haven't been inside yet, it's going to delight you like all the other restaurants here. Just, you look at them and you say, this feels really good. So SHAY, TINSLEY, to you and your team, I want to say another good project. These are great entrepreneurs, great professionals in the hospitality industry, and we are really lucky to have them in our community and have this great project here. So wonderful job to you guys. And then last, just a bunch of thank yous. Well, I also want to mention the Underhills aren't done here. Across the street, we're going to have the return of good barbecue over here. So shout out to Chan Nelson, who's opening up the back deck barbecue right across the road here. So we're kind of going from not having enough restaurants to having a nice, good representation here. So that's always good to see. So in closing here, I want to thank the South Louisville Metro Council representatives, past and present, who really kept the dream alive here. Is Mary Ann Butler here? Mary Ann Butler, of course, was phenomenal. She stayed with us the whole time. She'll be here later. Vicki Aubrey Welch, who has since gone on and retired down to the dance floor in Florida. Cindy Fowler, David Yates, Rick Blackwell, Nicole George, Kevin Triplett, Mark Fox, Amy Holton Stewart, our newest council person, and David James. So thank you guys so much. And then State Representative Mackenzie Cantrell is with us here as well. And I also want to thank Jeff Mosley. Jeff is, where is he? I see him over here. He's super low-key, but he was the general counsel for the city that worked with the Underhills to get all the legal machinations behind this project to work. And you need a good lawyer every once in a while, and Jeff Mosley, you've been phenomenal in that, so I wanted to say thank you for pulling this together. And then Vince Jarbo has been mentioned. I'll mention again. I met Vince probably 15 years ago when the Southwest Louisville Dream Team was starting to come together. This is a guy that loves his community, works 24 hours a day for the city of Louisville, especially the Southwest. You're a special person, and thank you for selling the vision on this, Vince. You're a good man. And then finally, just to the residents of South Louisville, thank you for hanging in there. You never gave hope on this project. Every time I talked to you, you would say, Mayor, there's just not enough restaurants in South Louisville. I said, I totally agree. So I think we've delivered on this project. So you all enjoy it, and I look forward to having a good cold beer with you here, all right? God bless. Thanks, everybody.
Nicole George, thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Good afternoon. I'm council member for District 21, Nicole George. Why don't they do something with that place, they said. Well, to say they've done something with Colonial Gardens would be an understatement. This is a momentous day for the South End. For decades, Colonial Gardens has been a symbol for community connection, unique history, and a beacon for economic opportunity. The opening of the BA Colonial marks a culmination of tremendous advocacy, collaboration, and investment that, woven together, tells a story worthy of being told at any neighborhood beer garden or pub. It's my hope that the story of Colonial Gardens revival will become part of the lexicon, just as the stories about animals escaping from Sinning Zoo or Elvis's concerts are recounted. If you're here today, you know the story, but it's a story worth repeating. And the first chapter starts with its neighbors. Now I'm going to do something that's a bit dangerous. I'm going to name names. Almost 15 years ago, neighbors like Robin Amsbury, Eddie Bronner, Rosemary and Gary McCandless, Barbara Nichols, Ann Ramser, Mike Tackett, Beverly Wheatley, Tony Buzan, and our own Landmarks Commissioner, Stephanie Buzan, initiated a process to ensure the community would be recognized as a historical asset here at Colonial Gardens. They organized, educated, and championed all things Colonial Gardens. Thanks to their efforts, neighbors like Rosetta Lowry Duke, who danced here many nights in the 1940s, who finally met her husband here and married, they have a place to return and reminisce. The stories continue with a robust network of community partners and business leaders, like the Iroquois Neighborhood Association, Southwest Dream Team, our partners connected with Iroquois Parks, Vince Jarbo, who will get many thank yous today, and civic leaders like Representative Mackenzie Cantrell, who work to study development options, promote the area, make connections, and open doors most of us didn't even know existed. Certainly a prominent chapter in the story that we tell when we talk about Colonial Gardens involves the original Metro Council members who had the vision, collaborative spirit, and advocacy to create lasting change. We would not be standing here today without the efforts of Vicki Aubrey Welch, Rick Blackwell, Marianne Butler, Cindy Fowler, Dan Johnson, and former Councilman Yates, who now we call him Senator. Next, we have Mayor Fisher, who supported Metro's purchase of the building and whose staff managed construction grants, public works projects, and provided an array of ongoing economic development supports, too many to count, and probably leading up to just minutes before today's ribbon cutting. Thank you, Christy Jarbo. A prominent chapter of the story also includes Underhill and Associates. Their reputation for thinking big, listening to neighbors, and placemaking through restoration has been overwhelming. Their significant investment will have a cascading impact for years to come in our South End neighborhoods. And their contractors and tradespeople deserve special kudos. For months, we've driven by and see their hard work to preserve the original structure. Finally, there's a section of the story devoted to our brave restaurateurs at Taco Luchador, Union 15, Biscuit Valley, and now BA Colonial, who've made sacrifices and taken risks during a pandemic. To their employees, you're not just serving food and beverages. You're part of a legacy that is strengthening our local economy and helping us make memories. Now, the last chapter is devoted to the Colonial Garden patrons. None of this happens without customers and someone willing to tell the story. You heard me say earlier that naming names is dangerous, and invariably I've left someone off the list. Please see that as my limitation, but an opportunity for you to share your Colonial Garden story here tonight. Remember, they just didn't do something with Colonial Gardens. You did. Now let's make BA Colonial the premier gathering spot for the South End experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole, not just for your words, but for your actions. From day one that you were in office, you've been responsive and helpful on every matter I've ever called you about, whether it's about dilapidated properties, including this one, whether it's been about extending sidewalks out here. You have been can-do in every aspect, so I can't thank you enough. I'm going to repeat a couple thank yous because our architect, Jeff Rollins, our contractor, Leo Post, and our banker, Ronnie Harris, are all modest people, so they've rolled in here after the original nod. Ronnie and your entourage out here, thank you all for being here and being such a big part of making this happen. I want to go back here a minute and just indulge with me for a few minutes here. This project, the reality is, was a very contentious topic for many years. It was understandable. Many people were frustrated about the blight here and the boarded up property and no sign of any improvement. So some people felt that demolition would be an improvement. I just want to thank the people who took the long view, that preservation was the right answer. We just needed to fight a little harder for it. We need to work a little harder at it. Today, we can enjoy the fact that that was the right course to take. So thank you. In reality, preservation's not easy. It requires patience, it requires vision, and it requires a lot of perseverance. It's not easy to do a lot of times. Neighborhood redevelopment can be tough, but this is a great example of working in partnership with many folks, including the city government, in making this happen in a long, long road, but it was worth the long trip. So I want to say that preservation is not just about saving old buildings. It's about preserving our culture. This is a great example. This building's not the most beautiful building in Louisville, Kentucky, but what happened here is significant for this neighborhood and for many that have dispersed around the community. The heartstrings here are huge, and we need to celebrate that. This is a great coming together. When I think 10 years ago, there was support for bulldozing the beautiful buildings at Whiskey Row on Main Street. What a shame that would have been. Look what we have there today. We need to think twice before we demo. With that in mind, I want to give a nod here to Nicole George. She's taken a courageous stand regarding the beautiful buildings at Holy Name and also about the Odd Fellows or Liberty Hall building. She stood out to do what is right. And so I want to thank her for having that courage. History is not something that we should take lightly. Great cities celebrate their history. They preserve and they enhance the history. And that's what this is about here today. What a great example. Let's do more of this. So with that in mind, I would like Nicole to do the honor for us. If you would step up here a minute, Nicole. If you look over here, the handsome-looking gentleman here, the two of them here by the sign, Underhill Associates will celebrate 50 years in business this summer. These two gentlemen celebrated 40 years with the company in March. Carl Murphy and Greg Miller are lifetime South Enders. Nothing more appropriate than to have them lift the sheet off of the historic marker. And by the way, the script on this marker was written by Stephanie Buzan, our neighbor right up here on Kenwood Hill. So future generations can look and see that this is a meaningful place. At the end of the day, this is about history, but it's about neighborhood. It's about a sense of place. So thankfully, this property will help us to honor our past, to enjoy our present, and preserve for the future. So Nicole, will you give the word to Carl and Greg to lift the sheet here?
Okay, all right. On three. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you. And in a minute here, we're going to turn our direction to behind us, to the front doors of BA Colonial. But before we have a ceremony here in cutting the ribbon, I would like to introduce the proprietor of BA Colonial, Mr. SHAY Tinsley.
How are you? I'm extremely honored to be a part of and be one of those people that's doing something to this building. So when I first saw this place was probably, honestly, I drove by 5-6 years ago and I just kept driving. Then the end of 2019, I came out, met Todd, and as soon as I walked in the door, I knew what I wanted to do with it. So I'm extremely excited to get everybody in here. Take a look. This is a preview. There's some empty spaces on the walls because we're taking donations. I've already had some people coming in, bringing in some pictures from the past. And that's what we want to do. We want to move forward, but we also want to honor the past. There's a lot of history here, so I'll keep it short and sweet. I'd like to thank everybody that I got to work with on this project, the city, the Underhills, Mr. Brad. You'll meet my team. I have a great team, Brad, Chef Nate, and Katie. But I think I'm going to get back here and get ready to cook some food. It looks like I have some people to feed, but thank you.
Thank you, Shay. I just want to mention here, before we cut the ribbon, once we cut the ribbon, that marks the beginning of the next 100 years with this property. So we want you all to come in, look around BA Colonial, and then go back to the patio in the rear. There'll be live music, this, that, and the other, and then followed by Joe Younger and the Checkmates. So stick around, have fun. I will tell you, next Friday night, Oaks Night, we're going to have a jazz trio out on the patio. So don't just come today, come back, come often, and we love that you're here to celebrate with us. So if we could have Todd and the team from BA Colonial, the mayor, Nicole, if you all could just step back here a minute. We're going to have the cutting of the ribbon here and mark the opening.
They don't have dull edges, I'm not allowed to touch them.